Hello everybody, welcome to the art room with Mrs. Salee. We are going to be drawing a baby octopus today. So we are going to need a couple things to do our baby octopus. We are going to need something to draw with. This is just a regular pencil. You can use crayon, you can use a black marker, you can use pencil, pen, whatever you have at home to grab. If you decide to use pencil, I suggest you have an eraser just in case you make a mistake. That way you can erase any problems as we go along. I am going to be drawing in Sharpie marker. And since I am using a Sharpie marker, I need 2 sheets of paper, one to draw on and one to protect my table. So for my little artists at home, we definitely need 2 sheets of paper there. That way you do not ruin your table surfaces at home. Again, this is what we are drawing. Let's get started. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to draw directly in Sharpie marker. And I am doing that just so you can see on the screen. It's a little bit hard if I draw in pencil. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our paper horizontally. So horizontally means that it is shorter but wider. So this is vertical when it is skinnier and taller, and this is horizontal, shorter and wider. And we are going to start with a nice big kind of oval circle shape, and that is going to be the head for our little octopus. And we are just making a little baby octopus. At the ends here, this is where I'm going to start making his little tentacles, and I'm going to come all the way out and around, and I'm trying to make a long skinny looking oval or noodle shape. And I am doing that because he is going to be hanging onto a rock. So I do want to bring his little tentacles that are on the outside out a little bit. So underneath here, I can draw a little rock. Now I'm going to come around and I'm going to create another tentacle. And then I'm going to finish with my 4th tentacle. So now my little octopus's body is all in our picture. We are ready to go. Now we need to add some other fun stuff. So I'm going to go down here at the very bottom of my paper and I'm going to add just a little wiggly line. And that's just going to be our first level of sand. Maybe the sand that's in the foreground. So that's the closest to us because he's going to be kind of in the middle part of the picture. On each side here, I'm going to come maybe about halfway through his little tentacle and I'm going to go straight down with his rock. So that way he's on top of the rock. We don't want to see the rock outside. We want him to be kind of on the tip top of the rock. So now I'm going to come around with the other part of my rock. So now I have a nice rock. I have my little octopus and I have some sand. We're going to add a 2nd row of sand in a minute. First, we're going to add some seaweed. So I'm going to come in with some tall, skinny lines. Very tall, skinny oval shapes here, really tall and skinny. And I'm going to add some leaves to the end of it. So I'm going to go through and add a bunch of these oval shapes. I apologize for my bunny over there. He is kind of thirsty. And I'm going to add some on the other side. And I'm going to kind of just have them going in 2 different directions. These are kind of like a teardrop shape. And it's really going to town on that water. And then I might add another little skinny one in here. So I'm going to come down and around with another, maybe a smaller piece of seaweed. Maybe it's a baby seaweed. Hasn't grown big yet. And then notice how I put these little teardrop shapes kind of in the middle of where the other ones are. That way there's still some room in my picture. and they're not really overlapping. So now I have two things of seaweed in my picture. I have my octopus, I have a rock, and I have some sand. I am gonna go in and I'm gonna add another layer of sand. So I'm gonna kind of do. That's my invisible line through my paper, through my rock. And I'm gonna add in another little sand line. So that way we know he's kind of up front. This is probably the closest, this is the middle, and this is the back. Now, we need some bubbles for our octopus. And he doesn't even have a face yet, but he needs some bubbles so he can breathe. So I'm going to start with a small bubble. Then I'm going to get a little bigger and a little bigger, because as those bubbles go to the surface, they are going to grow. Now I'm going to go in and add 2 ovals for his eyes. So 2 ovals. Inside my ovals, I'm going to add a circle or an oval shape and a littler oval shape underneath, kind of like a number 8, except it's just a little goofy because it's bigger on the top and shorter on the bottom. Then I'm going to color it in. If you are ready, if you have your pencil right now in your hand, you can color it in a minute when you outline. So now he's got his eyeballs, and in between his eyeballs, I'm gonna give him a little smile. So now I have the cutest little baby octopus. I'm gonna go through and add just a couple little dots on his head. Maybe they're barnacles, maybe they're spots. Maybe my octopus has little spots on him. Now I'm gonna go through and add a couple on the end of each tentacle on the outside. I'm not gonna do it on the inside tentacles. I'm just gonna leave it just like that. And now our beautiful picture is ready for the next step. What do you think the next step is? I think it's time to color. So I am going to go through and color my beautiful octopus really fast, and you may color him really slow. I am going to speed up the video so you can see what he's going to look like when we are all done. All right, so we have our beautiful octopus colored. Now I'm gonna go in with some other colors and add a little value to my octopus. This is gonna make it look like he's got a little bit of shadow. So I made my octopus orange, and you could have done yours in any color that you wanted to, but I'm gonna go in now with some brown, because brown is kind of a darker version of orange. I could also use red. I can use any kind of color that's just a darker version of that orange, and I'm gonna color just a little bit on each side of his little legs here where it's touching the rock, because where you have something closer to another object, it can create a little shadow. So I'm going to go through and color that in. I'm also just going to add a little bit of a shadow around his head to help it look rounded, because he's got that big round head. So this will help give his head just a little bit of shape. Next, I'm going to take the same brown and I'm going to come down here on my sand, and I'm going to give it just a little shadow here because there's so much sand. I want the sand that's in the foreground, which is up here in the very front, I want that to be just a little lighter than the sand that's maybe in the background, as some other shadows might be on it. So I'm going to add just a little bit of brown over it. If you don't have a peach color like I had for my sand, you could always use orange and color really light, and you will get a peach color. So there's that. I don't have a darker brown, so I'm going to use black for around my rock, because I do want a little shadow underneath where my octopus is sitting. So I want to just add a little shadow here, make it look like my octopus is really on that rock. He's holding on to it. And see how much it looks, it just kind of gives my picture a little bit of life, right? So now I'm going to color on this other side. Add in just a little bit on this side over here until my little octopus is complete. Down here where the sand is covering up the rock, I'm going to add a little bit of black, and I'm just coloring really light. I start dark by my line and I color away light, and it just gives it a little shadow. I'm also going to grab a dark green and I'm going to go in and color just a little bit on the bottom of my leaves for my seaweed. And that also is just going to give my seaweed a little bit of more life to it, make it look a little better. The only thing I didn't color was the water. If you want to color the water, you are more than welcome to. I am choosing not to. I colored the water in my first picture, but if I look into a fish tank, I'm not going to see a lot of blue. I am going to see clear water. So you want to go in and color him a little bit of water in the background, you are more than welcome to. But I hope that you enjoyed today's doodle of the baby octopus, and I hope to see you back soon for another lesson with the art room. Happy doodling!